First and foremost, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's so wonderful to have you here on Quad Education's webinar. Before we get started, I do just have a couple of housekeeping rules for everyone. We're looking at running this grandparent also. We're looking at running this webinar for 45 minutes. We have a really awesome presentation outlined, but we'll also have some time for a question and answer period. So whether you save your questions for the end or you ask them throughout the presentation, you're more than welcome to, and we will try our best to get back to everyone. Additionally, this webinar is recorded. What that means is you will receive an email recording within the next couple of days. We encourage you to rewatch it, share it with your network, or just save it for another time. I think that's really it for me. Now, I'm excited to share a little bit more about who we are, who Quad Education actually is. Whether you know us or not, I think this is a really great time to sort of introduce yourselves and why you're here tonight. So Quad Education is a globally recognized college admissions consulting firm with the largest team of admissions counselors in the world. That's right, in the world. With a 98% success rate, our students are 11 times more likely to get accepted at their top choice colleges. We assist students anywhere from grade 6 to undergraduate transfer candidates to bachelors of science and nursing candidates in applying to their dream school. So we very much support across the board. We also offer a virtual research program to assist students in finding research and shadowing opportunities as part of a specialized research project. Our personalized one-on-one counseling pairs students with admissions counselors to craft compelling and competitive profiles and applications. Every year, we chat directly with admissions officers in a round table event. This allows us to be in the loop on what colleges are searching for in their applications. College admissions criteria can change drastically year over year, so we want to make sure that we keep on top and updated on whatever the current trends are in the college admissions space. We always begin by learning more about you, your background, your family, your college preferences, your passions, and so much more. Learning about you allows us to then personalize your college admissions consulting experience and helps us build a compelling applicant persona to share with top colleges across the country. Now, that's a little more about us. You're not here to speak about us, so I'd love to pass it over to our wonderful panelists, Anthony and Ariana. As you can see, Anthony's an admissions counselor at UC Berkeley. Ariana is an admissions counselor at Dartmouth College. They are your wonderful panelists tonight. They're experts in their space, and they'll be here to lead the discussion.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony. In addition to, I am a admissions counselor for Quad. I really do love in the chat we're seeing everyone's from, as I've recruited students in many of the cities and states that you're joining us from tonight. In addition to having worked for UC Berkeley, I've also worked at Syracuse, University of Richmond, Earlham College, also Georgia Tech as well. And I also, on the high school side, served as the first ever college and career coach at Walter Payton College Prep in Chicago. And then in addition to being with Quad, I am currently a PhD student in social policy at Brandeis with a concentration in economic and racial equity.
Oh, that is awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariana Lee. I'm a counselor here at Quad and a graduate of Dartmouth College, and helped within admissions as well as at Dartmouth College, as well as with QuestBridge Scholarship as a former Questie. I've helped students like yourselves and parents like yourselves get their students into top programs and top universities across the world, as well as into top scholarship programs as well. Demystifying the personal statement process is truly beautiful and it's therapeutic. So I love to go onto this journey with you together and with you, Anthony. Would you like to start?
Yes. So why do colleges ask for a personal statement? What is the point? What are they trying to get from that as a part of the admissions process? So one would be to differentiate you from other students who are applying. So with any college application, you will be in a pool that is extremely competitive. And so the application pool is going to be filled with students who do excel within their academics and other areas of their lives. So your personal statement is your opportunity to talk about yourself beyond the numbers or the letters that are on your transcript, and for you to stand out and to really showcase aspects of yourself that cannot be gleaned from that part of your application, because colleges are looking to build communities, and that allows them to have some insight on how you are going to build and shape their communities.
Absolutely. Awesome. In addition to that, assessing your potential, right? So think about your personal statement. Just as Anthony already said, this is your bread and butter. You are competing against students that might be similar to yourself. So how are you going to stand out from this? How are you going to let admissions officers know you are the right fit for them and that you are different than these other students, because they only are looking at the numbers outside of these personal statements, right? So just remember that the officers, when they're reading your personal statement, they're going to be assessing your potential. How are you contributing within the student body at your current school? And how are you going to be contributing to the student body at our school? So this is your chance to share what you can add to the campus culture, how you can succeed within its ecosystem and beyond. They want successful, bright young students like yourselves, but how are you going to let them know that?
They also want to see, how are you going to fit in? So as I mentioned before, colleges are looking to build communities, and those communities are made up by students like you. And so the personal statements allow the admissions committee to see whether or not you're a great fit within their school. And so one of the things that you may sometimes hear from admissions officers is a phrase called institutional priorities. So what are the priorities that are important to a particular college that they use to craft this community who they hope will make a impact over the next 4 years, but also beyond the 4 years. So who will be engaged community members in the classroom, outside of the classroom while they're on campus, as well as using that experience that they'll have over the 4 years to be engaged as alumni in the future as well. And so they're going to be looking at whether or not you are aligned with your values and goals, and how you're going to fit into the culture of that school. So that's what fit is referring to: the priorities of the college, as well as the culture that is shaped by those priorities.
Absolutely. And just remember too, when you're doing your college list, make sure, okay, what is their campus culture? What is it that are institutional priorities for this school? And does that align with what you are looking for as well? So how does a personal statement impact your application? So just remember, personal statement, outside the personal statement, they have grades, they have extracurricular activities, test scores, letters of recommendation. But what else? This is your opportunity to really let them know who you are. And that's why it does have such a significant impact on final admission decision. Because if you're looking at just flat, what are two students doing that are similar? How can this one stand out from this student? And that's where the personality and everything else that you have to offer comes in your personal statement. So it's an opportunity to introduce yourself authentically. And I truly just want to emphasize authentically. Do not try to sound like someone else. Be as you can be. That's what they want to see. To admissions officers, highlight your strengths and unique qualities and experiences. Show them why, again, you would be that great fit for their school. They want the best and brightest students because that goes on to become alumni, and you continue to do amazing and great things, and you are a representative of their institution. So they want to make sure what is in this personal statement, what are you highlighting, what are you bringing to the forefront that's going to let them know that, hey, this is a great student for our campus.
So another way that the personal statement impacts your application is through this notion that it is your only opportunity to use your voice and speak directly to the admissions committee. So by the time you apply as a senior in high school, your grades from 9 through 11 are done. You can't go back in time and change those. The extracurricular activities that you've been involved with, again, you can't go back and change those, even though you can certainly with each academic year, including your senior year, continue to improve upon the work that you've done the year before, both in terms of extracurricular and your academic life. But again, you cannot go back in time. You can only make changes moving forward. And so your personal statement allows you to communicate things and say things that you are not able to communicate anywhere else within the application process. And I really do want to highlight how much your voice is given weight in the process. It's not just something for you to write and the admissions officers glance over. It is something that admissions officers really do take seriously, and especially as you're looking at highly selective schools like Ivy Plus schools and other schools outside of that category that are still highly selective and selective schools. They are particularly critical of the community that they're looking to build. And so what is it that you're communicating about yourself in this particular essay that is not able to be learned about you from your transcript, extracurricular activities, even the letters of rec that your teachers and counselors may write as well. So know that your voice really does carry weight, and this is your one opportunity to directly communicate any aspect about yourself that you think is important for the admissions committee to know when reviewing your entire application.
Awesome. Brainstorming. So how can it help you develop a strong personal statement? So when you think of brainstorming, I don't know if you all are like me, but when I brainstorm, I will take, whether it's a piece of paper, sticky notes, it's going to look like a storm has occurred on the paper, okay? And that's what it means. You're raining down the ideas, right? So this is an essential step in creating that well-thought, fleshed out personal statement idea. It might take a lot of need to reflect on yourself. And I really just, again, emphasizing personal statement should be a fun journey. I know the application process is stressful. It's a lot happening. This is a therapeutic, just a chance for you to reflect and kind of culminate your experiences from 9th through 11th grade or even beyond. These pivotal moments that you kind of want to let the admissions officers know, hey, this is how I've grown. This is where I'm at. This is what I hope to do. And here's everything that I've gone through and my milestones. So in brainstorming, you have that opportunity to realize your values, accomplishments, and milestones and put that to paper. And you'll be able to look back and then see all the amazing things that you've conquered and how far you've come. So that just really be free when you're brainstorming and just let it all out. Because that, even if you don't want to share it with everybody, just let all of your ideas flow freely.
So now we're going to take a look at various steps that you're able to take in order to be effective when you brainstorm, because the point of brainstorming is to get you to the point to have a polished essay. And when I say polished, I mean a essay that truly reflects who you are, and represents everything that you're thinking about on the page in a clear manner, as it communicates who you are to the admissions committee. So one, do your research. I'm saying this as someone who's worked in college admissions counseling for 15 years, but I'm also saying this as someone who has just gone through the admissions process myself, although not at the undergraduate level, but the past 3 years I've applied to master's and to PhD programs, and have gotten into a number of schools. And this is important at the undergraduate level, especially for the highly selective schools, but also many of these things that we're sharing with you tonight, many of you will apply these particular sets of knowledge to your journeys when you're applying for master's and PhD and med school and law school programs as well. And across all of these types of schools, from the undergraduate all the way up to PhD and medical and law school, colleges want to know that you've done your research on the college. At the undergraduate level, it's the college as a whole. At the grad level, it's on the particular academic program you are applying to. But either way, have you done your research on the college as undergraduate that you are applying for, to really ensure, is this school a really good fit? One of the things that I asked my colleagues when I was on the high school side last academic year, who were from the highly selective schools, about how I'm guiding students through the process. And we talked about students not writing about, Dartmouth or Yale or University of Chicago is the best school, or it's a good school, not using qualifiers, but really digging into, say, what is it about the faculty or the particular opportunities to study abroad, or how do I connect my academic interests in various ways that demonstrate to those schools that you have identified them as a good fit for them. So getting to know what their mission and their vision and values and the culture is like. And so it is very important to engage in this as you determine whether or not that particular school is an authentic fit for you, and also gives you an idea of ways that you can show how you're a good fit. And I also want to emphasize that while we are talking about the personal statement, these sets of knowledge that we're sharing with you tonight can also be applied to the individual college supplements, even though, again, tonight we're solely focusing on the personal statement.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that too. Show, not tell. And students say, I am the right fit. Well, what about you makes you the right fit? Tell us or show us, don't just tell us. And so research, what should be on your personal statement? So it's, again, important to do that research from the beginning, even when you're making that college list. What is it about this school that they value, and how does it align with things that you've already been involved in? Just remember, from the start of your high school career and maybe even beyond, you were creating your brand, right? You're creating, you were doing the things that you love to do, being involved in extracurriculars, volunteering, doing everything that you're passionate about. You were creating your brand. So now this is your personal statement to tell us, why was that important to you? Who are you? What is your purpose? What's your vision, your mission with doing everything that you're doing? What makes you unique? And it can be, it doesn't have to be the most extraordinary thing that makes you unique. You being simply who you are is unique alone. So let that come through. What matters to you? And again, every time you're writing on that brainstorming pad, just keep asking yourself, why? Why is this important? What steps did I take to get here? how am I accomplishing these particular goals or these particular steps? Why is this my vision and mission? Keep asking yourself why, like a parrot. Just keep thinking that. And then research knowing your prompts. So that's why I always tell students, even from the beginning, even if you're in ninth grade, even if before, it's okay to make a Common App account and just learn what are those prompts that I will eventually have to write. Even if you start brainstorming early, that's okay. You can start thinking, what prompts do I connect to, and how can I even start to make an outline and start writing on these prompts? It's essential to know the Common App prompts, which will ultimately guide your reflection and brainstorming. But also remember, there is a choose your own or write your own Common App prompt if you choose that. So you don't have to necessarily fit within the box. You can create your own box. But just the biggest thing is to just start getting those ideas out.
So the next step would be to make a list. And so, as we talked about earlier, making a list gives you different touch points that you can use to then later expand and then craft your statement. So as you mentioned earlier, different milestones or different achievements that you've had, challenges that you've faced, particular interests or passions that you've had, lessons that you've learned as well. This is not the time to be shy or to be bashful or to say that I'm going to be humble. This is the time to write about your life as it is to date, in a critical way that communicates who you are in various ways to the admissions committee. So these various things that you see on the screen, from milestones to challenges that you've had to different passions and interests that you have and lessons learned, can definitely, as you list them out, are certainly able to allow you to see, okay, if I write down 10 things across those 4 different categories, are there maybe 2 or 3 things that I could potentially flesh out more into a essay? A few years ago, when I was working with a student, I actually had her, based on the brainstorming that I facilitated for her, she ended up writing 2 different essays as ways to think critically about, depending on this group of schools I'm applying to, these are the aspects of myself that are authentic to me that I want to communicate. And then also to this range of schools, these are the other aspects that are, again, authentic to me that I want to communicate to that school. I would say that would be rare, writing 2 full essays as your personal statement, but I'm just showcasing that as an example of ways that you can make your list and then begin to slowly flesh out some of those points.
Absolutely. All right. So step 3, reflecting. So now that you made these lists, you can start thinking more on the questions, the follow-up questions, to help flesh out those ideas that you might have already written down from your research and from making the list. So again, with the whys and just really zoning in on what particular questions you can ask yourself that can just help kickstart those ideas for you. So what is something unique in your life that has shaped you into who you are today? What event first sparked your interest in your chosen field? What have you learned about your interest areas so far? And what more do you hope to learn during college? Have you experienced any unique challenges in your life? If so, how have you overcome them? How do you specifically intend to contribute to your field of interest in the future? And how did your unique experience set you up for a successful career as a student and professional? Obviously, these are a few questions that can help kickstart where you want to go in a direction of just getting the brainstorming going. But again, I would really start with just going through and just brainstorming with whether it's friends, family, on events or milestones, creating those lists that Anthony already talked about of lessons learned. And then when you're writing, think in terms of the STAR method. The STAR method is situation, task, action, and result. That will help you as you're creating your outline to stay focused and stay concise while you're fleshing out those ideas as well.
So now we're at step 4. So now picking your topic and creating a outline for your essay. So now that you've written down various ideas and you're playing around with them and trying to see which ones can you flesh out more, and seeing, are there ways that 2 or more ideas connect, and are you able to create a particular narrative, because you're telling an entire story through your personal statement, but some of the individual points you make on your list can also be some of the lenses through which you tell that story. And so you don't have to feel limited to exploring more than one topic and seeing how they work as you create your outline. So you can, choose however many, or if you just want to stick with one. But the point is, don't feel limited in the ways that you are navigating how you're telling your story and putting particular points together. Some of you may experience that when you're writing a paper for class. You have ideas of what you want to talk about in your paper, but you're trying to figure out what is the best way to frame the story you're trying to tell through your academic paper. So you may be moving points around. So same thing with your personal statement. You may move particular points around to frame your narrative in a certain way. So feel free to continue to play around with that as you pick your topic and create your outline, because at this point, it's about how you're framing your topic through the outline.
Awesome. So tips to successful brainstorming. So best way to start, if you don't already have one, start journaling. Journaling about your experiences is huge. And like I said from the start, this should be considered a therapeutic experience because you're kind of going back through these different lessons learned and everything that's kind of happened and how they led you to where you are now, or even your ideas or goals or milestones that you've already accomplished. How did you get here? So journaling about your experiences can give you an idea of the different themes that you can explore. This can say a lot about your values, your goals, your qualities, which help you in your journey in writing that personal statement. So let's say volunteering is just something really close to home. Maybe instead of just saying you volunteer at XYZ places, because that's something that an admissions officer can see from your list of experiences that you're going to include in your application, put us in the experience. Let us experience that with you, why this was such a pivotal moment for you. Let us experience if you're in a soup kitchen, let us experience the scent of the foods that you were making and the stories that you heard and how this was emotionally impactful to the rest of your life or to moments that you went on to do later. Put us in that moment with you. And I always say, tap into your 5 senses. Let the audience, the reader, the admissions officer understand why this was so impactful for you. Draft and redraft. Even at the brainstorming stage, creating multiple drafts, throwing and balling up that piece of paper, tossing it to the side and starting over. That's okay. Multiple drafts help you get closer and closer to where you want to be. And of course, the earlier you start, don't be like me. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the last minute. The earlier start, the more drafts you can do, and don't oversynthesize either. It's a sweet spot, but it helps you to find the best way to tell your story. Talk to close friends and family. They know you the best. They know you better sometimes than you know yourself, right? But they will help share insights about your character that you sometimes just glance over. You don't think is even that important to you, but it's huge. It's huge to the reader, to the potential admissions officer that will be reading your essay. So just talk to them and kind of brainstorm with them. Seeking valuable insights from those who know you best can give you a different perspective of who you are and what makes you you. So again, you're going to put your own spin to it, but it's okay for them to help you brainstorm. And I understand sometimes you don't want to share everything that you're going to put into the essay. You don't want family to know, or you don't want friends to. That's okay. You can get ideas from everybody. Record yourself verbally responding to a prompt. Sometimes it's easier to speak than write. I know that's sometimes what I do. I will record myself and have to listen back and, that's something I can write. Transcribe what you've written and see what you could use for an essay. And of course, it might be a little bit difficult at first because how we talk might be different than how we write, right? So it's important to kind of just verbally talk about it out loud, maybe with friends and family. Say, hey, these are some ideas I was kind of spitballing around. Can you listen to them for me? And then you can go from there to help narrow down even further.
So some more ways or tips to think about brainstorming in a way that continues to push you forward as you develop your essay. Because again, the end goal is to write a polished personal statement. And again, when I say polished, I mean a statement that communicates what you want to communicate, translating what's in here to the page in a clear way for the admissions committee to understand. So that's what I mean by polished. Not saying polished in comparison to other students outside of yourself, but is it reflective of who you are in a clear manner for the admissions committee to understand? So reading personal statement samples. Looking at different examples can give you ideas about how to craft your story, and it can also help with outlining and choosing your topic in a smoother way when you have some direction and guidance. Even in my PhD program, there are examples that we can go to of previous students when they have submitted their dissertation proposal for us to see how have they crafted what they're going to do with as far as their research is concerned. So it can give my peers and I ideas of how do we craft what we plan to do with our research. And so in a very similar way, as you're applying for undergraduate admission, you could see how are other students framing what their narratives are. So even if your narrative is one thing, but this example is even if your narrative is one thing, whereas the narrative of this other essay that you see as an example is another, you could maybe say, I like the way that the student framed their story, even though my story is not the same. So I may want to think about framing my different story in this similar way. Or you can read a essay about a similar topic as yours and think, I wouldn't frame it in that way, but I do like how this student drew out certain points of their life in order to communicate this larger story. So if I'm looking to tell a similar story, but I don't like this style, what are some other ways that I can think through how I'm going to tell my story? Also, writing from an authentic place. Do not write in what you think the admissions committee wants to read. Write in ways that are authentic to you, because that allows the admissions committee to see, are you a good fit for them? But it also allows you to see, how am I a good fit for this school? And here's the thing: admissions officers can tell when you're writing in ways that are not authentic to you. And especially when we're looking at the personal statement in context of every single other aspect of your application, especially looking at the extracurricular activities you're involved in, what your teachers and counselors have to say about you, if they're describing you as, personality 1, 2, 3, and 4, but in your personal essay, you're showcasing personality 5, 6, and 9, then that would make us think, wait, we're not getting the same person in the personal statement that every other aspect of the application is saying, this is who this student is. Again, colleges are looking to build community based on the priorities that they have. And it also makes gaining admission to colleges that much sweeter when you have done it using your authentic voice, because you know that they wanted you for who you are. Don't hold back. As you're brainstorming, do a brain dump and write everything that comes to your mind, different thoughts and ideas. Do not judge yourself based on how you think that others, especially the admissions committee, is going to judge you. Admissions officers know that students put a lot of time and effort into sharing who they are, and they take reading what you have to share about yourself very seriously. And also, admissions officers are accustomed to reading a wide range of experiences, values, lessons, achievements, points of view about walks of life from all over the U.S. and all over the world. So whatever ends up being your final essay is not going to be judged. And so do not judge yourself as you're writing, because you never know how one particular thought, you may write down 10 different thoughts, but maybe thought number 7, if you zero in on it more, you think, wow, this is a story that I would really like to tell. And that could end up being a very powerful essay. So do not judge yourself when you are brainstorming. And then the last piece is to answer the prompt. That's going to carry you through college, because your professors, when they tell you to write a paper, they're going to give you directions for how to write it and also a prompt. You need to answer a particular prompt or a particular question. The same thing, again, as you apply for internships in college, they're going to want to know certain things. For those of you who end up applying later on based on your dreams and goals to master's or PhD programs or law school or medical school, there are prompts that you will have to respond to as well. So it's very important when brainstorming for your personal statement that you pay attention to the prompt and write to the prompt to tell your story. So don't create an essay out of thin air and then say which prompt can I adjust this to, but really look at the prompts first and then begin brainstorming. And again, that is not only important for any college you apply to, but especially when you're applying to the more highly selective schools, both in the personal statement, which we're covering tonight, as well as the supplemental questions as well. That's very important to keep in mind. Answer the prompt and write to the prompt.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. It took me a second to unmute myself there. Ariana, Anthony, thank you very much for tonight's presentation and all this valuable knowledge. I'd love to now turn it over to our audience. We have some questions coming in. I think a few of them I can just answer on the spot. Will there be a recording of this? Yes, there will be. You will receive a recording within the next couple of days after this webinar, of course. That will include a link to this recording, as well as a link to schedule a free consultation with one of our admission specialists. We encourage you to do that and just sort of take that conversation one step further and get some one-on-one insight. You could also do that by scanning the QR code that you see on the screen. The second question was, where can we find real examples of prompts so that we can practice writing essays? Again, very terrific question. I've put a link in the chat that goes back to a blog post. We actually have several of them, but this specific one tells you how to write a personal statement for college, as well as 15 examples. And within there's some really awesome advice that will come in handy when writing statements and essays. But let's keep on going. Maria asks, could you provide an example of an analysis of the campus culture and how the fit student would write their statement? And I'd love to open that up to both of you to just, if you could, do you have an example off the top of your heads, or is this something we can come back to via email?
No. I can jump in. So there was a student at the high school I worked at last year who was applying to the University of Chicago, and their supplemental prompts have relatively been unchanged over the past few years, but their main question is a long one, but they're basically asking, how have you identified the University of Chicago as a place that would support you from an academic sense, from an extracurricular sense, as well as help you get to whatever goal you have for after graduation? And so one particular student who I was working with kept writing about what his previous experience was with them from a academic enrichment program in 9th grade. And I kept pushing him to say, look at the prompt and push him to do research on the school in order to identify who are the faculty on campus, how will the academic program you're looking at or the classes you're taking, examples of students from your desired major who have interned or gone abroad, what types of clubs may you want to join that could also connect with that as well, and then also what are the resources at the university that would prepare you for your stated goals for after graduation as well, and really pushing him to analyze based on these different aspects that exist on campus. This is the culture that I assess to be at the University of Chicago, which he then wrote to and then ended up getting in, and he's there now. So I use that as one example. I'll also just quickly also share, when I applied for PhD programs last year, there were particular criteria that I had. One particular department I looked at a college did not have any faculty with a particular criteria that I was looking at, whereas another department did, but none of the faculty who fit the criteria had research interests aligned with mine. So I ended up not applying to that school because I knew that I would not have been admitted because it would not have been a great fit. So thinking about an analysis of the campus culture and thinking about writing their statement is very important. The other thing to keep in mind, and Common App will tell you this as well, it's very important that when you're working on your personal statement, that you do not mention any particular college's name in the personal statement for Common App, but you only do that for the individual supplement for those schools. But also keep in mind this as we kept talking about being authentic in your personal statement, because for colleges that will require both the personal statement and the individual supplement for that school, they're also analyzing the writing of both to see this person who wrote particularly about our school, is this the same student who wrote about themselves in their personal essay as well? So while you're not writing about a particular college's culture or resources that they have in your personal statement, it is very important to keep in mind that analysis of the campus culture, because as colleges compare the two, your personal statement, which we've covered tonight, and your supplement for that school, they want to see, is this the same student, which goes back to being authentic in your writing and coming from that analysis of the culture.
Absolutely. And I'll just add to that too, a good way to really, to one, know if a campus's culture is aligning or is a fit for you. Great ways is to do a tour of the campus, talk to people of the campus, go, if you can't go in person, do video tours. They made it really accessible, especially post-COVID, right? So, you can, and this is all, you can do this all while you're crafting your college list, just to feel if this school has the programs I'm looking for. Does this school align with the beliefs and the and things that I'm looking to do in the future? And then to personally write it, again, just remember placing yourself in as if you're already at the school. And if you're going to a school that is primarily analytical or research heavy, is this something that is exhibited within your essay? Is this something that shows in your extracurriculars? Have you been crafting a brand that aligns to everything that this school typically admits? Or is it different? And it's okay if it's different. Why is it different? Why is this still a school of choice for you? Again, that why factor could be the determining factor if you get admitted or not. Because it's okay if let's say you've all you've done is major in bio and do heavily focused research experiences, but you write in your personal essay that you have a passion for cooking. Why does this relate? Why did you choose to spend this time in your essay or this time in your application to talk about this? What are you trying to tell the admissions officers by doing so?
Awesome conversations. So Jen asks, are there any exercises that you recommend a counselor provide a group of students to begin the brainstorming process, such as identifying themes, superpowers, or personal values? And I'd love to take that question one step further and not just counselors. That could be parents, that could be even students themselves. I'll open up the floor to both of you.
You said exercises that they can do?
Yes, exercises they can do.
Yeah. Again, giving sample prompts that might even taking a prompt from the Common App and just having students brainstorm from that, creating outlines. You said superpowers, maybe having them create a list of milestones that they've achieved in the past year, or things that they've done even over this summer vacation. How are they describing it? Maybe if you're looking at the brainstorming process, have them create lists of things that are easier to think on more, like a list of superpowers, a list of things that you did over summer vacation that was really exciting for you. And then taking it a step further and having them describe it with those 5 senses, or why was this important to you that you spent your summer vacation doing this, or, start simple and expand. I guess it depends on what grade level they're at.
Awesome. So Ms. Rashid, and I probably mispronounced that. I apologize. How do students find out their brand? What are examples of a student brand?
So I would say that one way that students can identify or find out their brand is thinking critically about what are the things that are both authentic to me, but also that most people around me would associate with me. So when I was in high school, as an example, I was known as the student who was in chorus and in the choir and the school plays and drama class. And yes, I did other things, but after a while, like that became my brand within the school. So your brand could be based on particular things that you do. It could be based on particular ways that you show up within a space. So there are some students whose brand is not being affiliated with a particular club or sport or other activity in the school, but their brand is being a leader because of the way that they engage their peers and listen to their peers and then guide their peers in particular directions. And peers also pay attention and look up to them and listen to them as well. So I think those are two examples of a brand. One is based on things that you do, and one could be based on who you are and how other people respond to who you are within that space. And so I think students can take time and list those things out, but also going back to one of the tips for brainstorming in terms of asking friends and family as well, that student could ask, who are their, top, 5 or 10 closest peers within their school, and to ask them, as well as doing that with their counselors and teachers as well, to get a sense of how do you perceive me, or how do you experience me within school. And then from there, a student could potentially get an idea of, oh, okay, this is a particular theme that keeps coming up, that it seems like people are perceiving to be my brand.
Fantastic. Okay. So I actually have a question for both of you, and it's one of those frequently asked questions that we get. What is the best piece of advice you have for parents or students or guardians who are sort of going through this process, whether that be, writing a personal statement or applying to college in general? Ariana, did you want to go?
Yeah. Take it one step at, no, I'm just kidding. No, the biggest thing though is to really, it's a lot going on during the process of applications. The best thing to do is to really view it, like I've said the whole time, view it as therapy, write it out in a journal. Think of everything that you've gone through. I would say that's another great exercise for counselors to have students do as well, is just to have a journaling session, have them kind of keep a running notes and tabs of all the wonderful things that they've been doing. It's easy to forget. And I would say start early. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait until the last minute. I know it sounds fun. It never sounds fun. I'm just joking. Don't do it. Just start early and get the ideas flowing.
I would say the piece of advice that I would give is, as long as you are being authentic to yourself in this process and doing your due diligence to identify what are the best schools that would be a fit for who I am and where I am at this point in my life as a 17, 18 year old navigating this process, then I believe that you will end up where you are meant to be. And sometimes that may mean that, you get into your absolute number one choice, but then sometimes that means that you may not get into your absolute number one choice. Even though I'm not going through the admissions process now, I've been applying for a bunch of summer fellowships as a PhD student. And the first 7 I heard back from were no's. And then the 8th one was a yes. And I even said today to my academic advisor that had I gotten this other fellowship that I really wanted, I wouldn't be able to take this fellowship that I got now at the time that I'll be engaging with it over this summer, which is opening up other opportunities that this other one would not have. So I'm saying that as someone who went through a rough month last month of hearing no, which, again, you may be the one that gets all the yeses in the process, while other peers may not get as many yeses as you, or you may be the one who may not get as many yeses from colleges compared to some of your peers. But again, I believe that as long as you are authentic to yourself and do your due diligence to identify the schools that are great fits and communicate authentically who you are in your personal statement and other aspects of your application, that you will end up where you are meant to be.
I like that. And remember, you're already a star. You're just letting them see you shine. That's it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it's a beautiful place to end tonight's conversations. Anthony, Ariana, thank you very much for being a part of tonight's discussion. To our wonderful audience, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Questions, comments, concerns. If you'd love more information, we are here for it. quadeducationgroup.com. I also have a link on screen if you're interested in continuing the conversation one-on-one. And that's it for tonight, folks. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you.